James Cameron's Avatar Fire and Ash has finally crossed the $1.4 billion mark at the box office. There's just one humongous problem that might shock you. Did you know it could be a flop? Folks, we're not making it up. It's coming from the very words of James Cameron. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel that's never scamming you with falsehoods, never misleading you, never belying with lies. Instead, all we do is try each and every day to deliver you the truth with a capital T, served up on a platter of chatter. And by golly, we're going to have a good time every time we do it together. As we go, folks, all we ask that you click the like button. And what do you know? James Cameron's Avatar just might be a $1.4 billion flop. Ladies and gentlemen, Avatar Fire and Ash is in the dustbin of history. The box office pretty much done. And no, it did not do what they said it would do. They said to us, oh, it's going to make $2 billion. James Cameron always makes $2 billion. No, it did not. It's better than Wicked, though. How about that, eh? Wicked gone away, probably not coming back. Avatar, uncertain. Here's the article from Trevor Denning. It says, Avatar Fire and Ash falls short of previous films. Will James Cameron make more? And now that's definitely up in the air. Since its 2009 debut, the Avatar franchise has been known for groundbreaking visuals and historic box office returns. The latest film in the franchise, Avatar Fire and Ash, has ended its box office run. Ended it, ladies and gentlemen, after crossing the $1 billion mark, far short of the previous films. Now, industry watchers are questioning whether even that is enough to justify additional films. How much did it make? Well, ladies and gentlemen, it did not make the $2 billion, and we know that Disney spent a lot of money. The Variety report that it cost $500 million. We actually have looked into this. We think it's $700 million that it cost, and probably needed 1.5 to break even. Why do we say that? Well, because it comes from James Cameron himself. Says the massive budgets and financial risks are nothing that Cameron has not acknowledged. Variety noted that Cameron told GQ in 2022 that his films typically need to gross around $1.5 billion to break even. Again, $1.5 billion to break even. And here it is out of the numbers. Avatar Fire and Ash 2025. It's not at $1.5 billion. And therefore, this film may have lost money. That is an insane amount of money to call it a flop. And I feel badly doing so. But folks, Avatar Fire and Ash may in fact be a flop. Now, if we go to the latest numbers, how much is it making? Can it get to the 1.5 that he says it needs? Probably not. It's doing a phenomenal job on hold, but even so, the last weekend, Avatar Fire and Ash made $3.4 million. It would take a lot of weekends of $3.4 million, and that's probably the best it can hope to do. It would take a lot of weekends of $3.4 million to make up $60 million. $60 million left to go to get to what he claims to be the break even. And that means, Nat, that a lot of people out there are saying this could be the end of Avatar. Nat, what do you think about that? You know, the only way I see this possibly coming back is if he uses AI to dramatically, what would you say, deflate the cost of the movie? But he'd have to do it by an order of magnitude because this dropped $600-700 million from the last one. So if he drops another $600 to $700 million at the box office on the fourth one, you gotta get the cost down to minuscule. What say you?
Well, I understand the first one was this technological marvel at the time and like all the work and effort that went into it. And now, of course, well, it's gotten easier in certain ways with AI now, for example. But even before then, it because he developed the technology, it was a little bit less impressive. I would say, not that it's not impressive, but I've never really understood personally, at least, why it did so well. I mean, the first one, yes, but the second and now this one, I just don't understand the story. I know probably it's not made for me or maybe the markets that I'm in, but still, I don't think it's a good idea to make another one unless exactly they use AI or maybe find a new way to bring in interesting technologies and make that the focal point. But the stories are, from what I understand, because I haven't watched the latest one, are basically just rehashing the same thing over and over again.
That's exactly right. And it's been compared to Fern Gully meets Dances with Wolves, right? But with blue people, so Smurfs maybe. Lauren, it's crazy to me. They thought they had a home run here because both of the prior ones had made $2 billion. This is coming in significantly less. I mean, 2.2 was the last one. This is 1.4. Probably not going to get to 1.5. I mean, it's possible, but even you get the break even, the idea for return on investment is that you want to make back at least 15%. That's not going to happen here. And I don't know that anybody's craving, like nobody's crying except for Jay. Jay's crying. Sorry, Drunk 3PO. Nobody else is really crying that Avatar would be over. Everybody's just kind of like, that'll be okay. That'll be okay.
Honest, I don't really understand the success of the first two. You know, I wasn't interested in it from the jump, but it's also that the landscape is different. Whenever you have a series like this, there's a law of diminishing returns, and you're already at the trilogy mark, and it's always felt to me like it's a niche property. I understand because it was a technological marvel when it came out, that was part of the draw, but now it's old hat. And from what I understand, and not having actually seen them myself, just hearing about them third hand, they're essentially recycling the story in each one. You have to bring something new if you want to, A, retain the audience, or 2, grow the audience. And from what I can tell, they haven't been doing either of those.
No, I don't think so. And, you know, the AI thing is interesting because it does seem to me that in the next couple of years, they can make a film for Avatar that has all these graphics and everything, and it might be very inexpensive to do so, and it could look just like the avatars that we've already seen. But I don't know what happens in terms of the politics and the optics of that. Like, would James Cameron be willing to offload all of this to AI and say, hey, dear VFX artists, screw you? I don't know, and I don't know how that's Hollywood's going to look. So maybe he sits on this for at least the next few years to see what, you know, where we are on the other side of all these changes.
No, I don't think so. I think this is the kind of property that you have to strike when the iron is hot. I don't get the sense that once this property fades, that there's going to be a nostalgia effect for it where people say, gosh, I sure miss when Avatar was in theaters. But I do think that they are going to use this for the AI push because Cameron's already been making noises about that. You know, kind of trying to play both ends of the interviews where he says, well, you know, I really don't want to use AI tools to replace human artists. That would be unethical, while sitting on AI boards and opining openly about, well, you know, really, these are so expensive that AI sure would make it easier.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And, you know, I got to say, if people are searching for Avatar right now, I bet they're searching for Avatar, The Last Airbender over Avatar, Fire and Ash or Way of Water, whatever. But, you know, one of the what would you say? One of the interesting things about it is how much has been bet on this franchise, and now it may be dead. You've got the Walt Disney Company investing massive amount of money into expanding, you know, Avatar lands into Disneyland and all that. Maybe it can survive on a dead franchise. I don't know. Star Wars is doing it. Not really. But I don't know why they want to go ahead with this if this thing's already over. We're done. You know, this is going to be, by the time they finish building this thing, it's going to be a franchise that is in the rearview mirror by a decade. So, Nat, I'm thinking, you know, I don't think the iron's hot. I don't think there's any reason to continue going on with this unless there's something here that I just don't see, and I don't think any of us see it. Nat, time to close it down, I think.
Initially, I didn't understand why they did the Avatar land at Animal Kingdom like that. And it's great and people like it and the visuals are great there as well. But I think they're relying now on the movies to promote everything else they've built around it, which I don't know if that's a good actual strategy because people are not fully interested in that. They're interested in the park stuff, but that's about it. And Cameron, I think, would be way better served if he just came up with something new and innovative and people would tune into that. But I think nobody cares about Avatar anymore.
Well, you know, the thing about Pandora, the thing about the Pandora area and what they've got in Animal Kingdom is that it kind of stands on its own. It's the last thing that the traditional original Disney Imagineers did. I'm not talking about the people who go back to Walt, but before they left for Universal. Mm-hmm. And so it's the last thing they made. This is one of the restaurants in there. We'll skip ahead a little bit. Skip ahead. There we go. But it's one of the last things that the geniuses made. And then they went to Universal and they made Epic Universe, and they've never returned to Disney. And Disney, they don't have the same people, so I don't think they can make the same thing. And if you're making something that's supposed to be Avatar, but Avatar is no longer popular, and you don't even have the kinds of creatives to do it, you know, all of this is just starting to fall apart. The merch has never been there. Lauren, nobody's buying Avatar toys. Do you know any kids who are, you know, for Christmas are saying, please, I got to have me a Jake Sully toy. Give me a Jake Sully toy, mommy.
Yeah, I don't think that this is a real huge marketing draw. This is why the whole thing has always baffled me, is that they did do bang up box office sales when the first two were out, and yet I never felt like it was ever a critical mass kind of thing. This has always felt to me like a giant James Cameron vanity project, and that's great for James. But I struggle to point out, none of my friends talk about this series. I don't know of anybody that goes, this is my favorite movie franchise and I want to see more. I acknowledge there are fans of it, but it's never struck me as being what I would consider, say, a AAA box office release outside of the fact that it does all this money. It's very weird.
It is a very strange franchise, and it may be that it's in an unsavable decline. Folks, it's crazy that a film that made 1.4 is done for, but the numbers just don't lie. And even if they could fix this and get the fiduciary side of it figured out, does James Cameron really want to make a movie that's dropping $600 million every single time he makes another one? Does he really want to bring in a fourth that struggles to make $1 billion? Is that what James Cameron wants to do? When all the different IPs that James Cameron has access to would probably do a whole lot better. I mean, think of what he could do. Think of the stuff he's made in the past. Does he want to stay stuck on Pandora with these blue people? Is this what he wants to be, his last gasp as a director? The man's over 70. I don't think so. James, it's up to you. You know, we really hope that you felt this video was satisfactual. We know we had an actual good time participating and communicating with each and every one of you out there listening. It is a great honor. It is a great pleasure, even a responsibility to do this on a daily basis. You give us the dream job we love doing, and for that we can never say thank you enough. There's only one small favor we ask beyond what has already been done, and that is, folks, consider it. That is clicking the like button. Share, subscribe, click it, stick it to those pesky algorithms. It's the notification bell, and drop a comment right on down below. Let us know your thoughts, because your thoughts do indeed matter, no matter what the mainstream media would otherwise say. Folks, as we say every single time we end these videos, because we mean it, keep learning, keep growing, and keep having fun.